How do we learn? That's the question I ask. So learning must be 5 things. It must be personal, it must have reflective time, it must be generative, it must be failure-driven, and it must be social. We learn through social interactions. That's one of the many reasons why this conference is so great. There's so many social interactions, and I witness everybody. I'm learning, everybody's learning. It's social. Failure-driven. Fail fast, right? Everybody fails fast here. We learn by failure. Think about a video game. It's one series of failures after another. Generative. That example of fishing. I didn't give you the answer. I let you figure out how you would do it versus the system that just tells you the answer. That's why we don't learn from the learning management systems. There has to be reflective time. I cannot pummel you with information and expect you to retain it. You'll lose most of it by the time you leave the room. So there has to be time for you to reflect on it. And then it must be personal. When I said phishing, and when I mentioned that we click on the email, the link that puts ransomware, I suspect everybody had just a moment of panic because none of us wants to be that person. So it's very personal. And yet when we look at all of these learning management systems, they don't teach us anything because they're not geared on these principles. Let me bring this to light a little bit. So this is Jeff Jonas, entrepreneur and self-proclaimed evil genius. And he ran a little experiment. He bought it with his girlfriend's kids and their cousins at a party. So he bought 5 crossword puzzles, 300-piece crossword puzzles. But before he went to the party, he took the first one and removed 30 pieces, leaving 270 out of 300. The next puzzle, he removed 100, leaving 200 out of 300. The next puzzle, he removed 150, leaving 150 out of 300. And the next one, he removed 294 pieces, leaving 6 out of 300. And these 4 were all separate puzzles. Then he bought a 5th puzzle that's a copy of the first puzzle and removed 270 pieces. And he took all of the pieces, dumped them on a table. He told the kids nothing of his malfeasance. He said, go do it. Took the kids 22 minutes to figure out that there was some duplicates. Took them 32 minutes to figure out that some pieces were missing. Took them 38 minutes to start to put together some of the imagery. At 2 hours and 10 minutes, they figured out that it was 4 puzzles. And at 2 hours and 18 minutes, they figured out that it was 4 puzzles with a few random pieces thrown in. And this is a perfect example of the kids were engaged in social learning. It was generative. He did not tell them anything about that, of what he had done. They figured that out themselves. And it was failure-driven. Think about how many failures happened in those 2 hours and 18 minutes. So that's how humans learn.